Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as Baxter Travel Webcast and Visit Flanders present Visit Flanders More to Experience. With us, we have Marco Frank coming in live from Belgium, so he's speaking from destination to you all today. Once again, I would like to remind you that should you have any questions for the moderator during the presentation, the question and answer box is located on the top left-hand side of your screen, and we're always happy to receive those. And with no further ado, I will turn the floor over to Marco, and we thank you all for joining us today and have a great presentation.
Antwerp in beautiful Flanders, Belgium. Thank you so much for joining us today. And let's dive right in and talk a little bit about our great destination, about some commemorations, events, and some great festivals that we have going on here. Moving on to the next slide, I wanted to give you just a very quick overview of our destination. And for those of you who have joined before, I'm sure it will sound very familiar. Flanders is the northern region of Belgium, so it's basically considered, so to speak, a province within the country of Belgium. And Belgium is very small, so we only have two. There's Flanders and Wallonia in the south. The six major cities that are now destinations are Brussels, Antwerp, Bruges, Ghent, Leuven, and Mechelen. Flanders in general is known for really having a reputation for cutting-edge craftsmanship. And then what that really means is that people are really master in their trades. They know what they're doing. They've known that for generations. They really like to craft things. They like to craft chocolates. They like to craft glaze. They like to craft different beers. They like to craft different diamonds and jewelry. So it's really a destination where people like to craft things. And
Marco, excuse the interruption, but we are having difficulties seeing the screen. Would you be able to please reshare that? Thank you.
All right, I'm sorry that.
We apologize for the interruption, ladies and gentlemen. Marco will be resharing his screen momentarily.
Sure. See what happened. Can you see the screen now?
Hi, Marco. We are able to see your desktop and your presentation now. Thank you very much. And again, we do apologize for the delay.
All right, thank you. So I said the cutting-edge craftsmanship is really one of the highlights of our destination. We have four core travel themes that I'm sure you're very familiar with. Again, I would just quickly go over them. One is the gastronomic aspect, Flanders being at the crossroads of Europe, really offering a combination of different influences and creativity from all around Europe and the world. Just a couple of highlights, the Belgian beers that we all know about, the Belgian chocolates, the waffles, the fries. The next travel themes, the cycling. Flanders is really known internationally for being a cycling region par excellence that shares the same passion as the Dutch have for cycling. Also great in fashion, really famous for a lot of fashion designers that have come out of specifically Antwerp, the city that I'm in right now. And then last but not least, also a great array of art, architecture, where different layers of art and architecture form the basis of new architecture, new art that gets continuously added. So you have a really eclectic mix of the old and the new. But then again, this is just a very quick summary. Today, we really want to talk about the commemorations, the events, and all the festivals that are going on in Flanders. We have a great variety of different commemorations, events, and festivals ranging from art, history, World War I, the Middle Ages, music, gastronomy, food, beer, and a lot more. All those festivals, events are for all ages, for all activity levels, and for all interest levels, meaning that there's definitely something to pick and choose for everyone out there. It's really part of the local culture. People really like to commemorate, they like to celebrate, they like to go to festivals and really celebrate and live life. And it's also a great opportunity to really immerse into the local culture here. Just one example, and I'm just picking randomly on beer because 2015 is actually our year of beer, a little bit of a highlight that we are just trying to focus on. And there's literally a beer festival going on every single weekend. And I've just highlighted here a couple that just happened in the last couple of weeks and some that are coming up. I personally actually attended the Belgian Beer Weekend in Brussels at the beginning of the month. I'll be attending another one this weekend here in Antwerp. So there's no shortage of festivals here going on for all different types of themes. Let's look at one area of commemorations that's specific to Flanders Fields, the area of a lot of battles of World War I. As you know, World War I, we are celebrating the 100-year anniversary, 2014 to 2018. And one of the most famous commemorations is actually the last post, which is blown by buglers every night at 8 p.m. and Ypres, and it's basically to commemorate the fallen soldiers and the missing soldiers of the former British Commonwealth. And it's an event that's really nowadays packed, that you really have to show up early to get a good viewing area. I was there in October last year, and we really had to show up at least half an hour before because the street around the Menin Gate is really packed, and it's really hard to actually get a front row seat, so to speak, although there's actually no seating, so to speak, a front row stand to actually observe the event. Other commemorations around Flanders Field is another event that is called Coming World Remember Me. It's basically an event that aims to create 600,000 clay sculptures. And each clay sculpture is a symbol for a fallen soldier in Flanders Field. So over 600,000 soldiers actually died in Flanders Field here. And once those clay sculptures are complete, they will receive the so-called quote-unquote doggy tag, and then they will be exhibited and part of a big art installation. I will actually be making my clay sculpture in about 2 weeks when I'm coming back to Flanders Field. Another important event is Anzac Day, which happens every year on April 25th, which is the first involvement of Australian and New Zealand troops. Then this year, we're also celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the Talbot House in Popering. So if you don't know what the Talbot House was, it's Popering is a few kilometers behind Ypres, so it was basically behind the front lines. And it was some sort of like an officers club, but also regular soldiers could actually get into the Talbot House. And it was basically a place of peace and quietness where soldiers could recuperate from the atrocities of the front line and basically just get their mind off the war for a few minutes and just refresh and relax and enjoy some music and just forget about all the fighting that went on. And it was basically set up, as I said, originally by some British officers and then made accessible to all soldiers of the British Commonwealth. Then we have a very interesting exhibition going on in Ypres in the Flanders Fields Museum called Canada in Flanders, which specifically focuses on the Canadian involvement in Flanders Fields. That exhibition will run from March 2016 to July 2016. And then last but not least, another small highlight, I wanted to point out that there are various exhibitions going on next year under the umbrella theme of Strong Women in the Great War. And throughout Flanders Fields, there's different installations, different exhibitions, different events that really focus on the different roles that women played being part of the military, being wives, just being regular people, and really trying to highlight and focus all the different roles that women played during World War I. Now let's move on and look at a couple of the festivals and events that are going on in the 6 major cities that we have. Let's just look at Antwerp. And I also wanted to point out there are so many events and festivals going on that I really wanted to focus just on the most important ones. And some I will dig in a little bit more deeper, some will just stay on the surface, because I could literally spend hours and hours and days talking about all the festivals and events that are going on. So I know time is precious and we all have a lot of things to do on our plate. So I will just, not dive into all the details, and you can always get in contact with me or look at the websites that are posted in this PowerPoint as well. First of all, in Antwerp, I wanted to highlight a jazz festival called Jazz Middelheim. And it's widely considered as one of the best jazz festivals in Europe. It's located in an idyllic park, Den Brand. You can actually see the main house here, and you can see a little bit of the fountain here. And it's a really beautiful setting, and it has really become an iconic jazz festival within the last 40, 50 years. And the park is really surrounded by a very nice infrastructure, by greens. It also includes a playground for children, some gourmet catering, and it's really a jazz festival for the whole family, and it really caters to all ages and tries to bring jazz music to people of all ages. Another very interesting festival is called Laus Polyphony, and it's a summer festival focusing and revealing on music from 500 years ago. And it's a very interesting interplay of different sounds and music, and really tries to focus on the music of the 16th century. Because often we really don't know what that music of those times really sounded like. So the focus of that music festival is really to focus on playing authentic music from that area, and all those masterpieces that have laid uncovered need to be uncovered and played in an original setting with, as much as possible, original instruments. And it's really not so much just a music festival, but also a music festival that includes different walks, lunchtime concerts, evening concerts, workshops, open lectures, and also an exhibition in the Antwerp Cathedral. And it's really a contribution and a celebration of ancient 500-year-old music. Moving on to another very interesting music festival in Antwerp is Classic in the Stad, or Classic in the City. And it's basically a 4-day festival in unusual settings for all audiences, with performances by the Royal Ballet, the Flanders Opera, the Flemish Philharmonic Orchestra, and again in a very casual setting with benches, folding chairs, food stands, and tents, people to listen to all different types of great music. Another very famous music festival is Tomorrowland. It's actually a very modern dance festival in a city called Bonn. It's very close to Antwerp, and it's been named the best music festival or electronic dance music festival in the world. And it's really something more for the younger crowd. But again, it shows all the variety of the different festivals that are going on. As I said in my introduction, there's definitely something for everyone. If you're into more classic music, if you're in jazz music, then we have those festivals. If the younger crowd wants a little bit more into electronic dance music, then we have Tomorrowland, so something for everyone. Antwerp is also very proud of the Antwerp Pride Parade, which is basically a celebration of gay-friendly Antwerp, and it's really a festival over several days. It has grown bigger and bigger every year, and it has different components that include sports, culture, parties, and parades, and really a festival where people really like to celebrate the openness of the city and the acceptance of a different lifestyle. Another very interesting event happening next year is the Tall Ship Race in Antwerp. And in 2016, the city and the port will host again the Tall Ship Race. It will happen from July 7th to July 10th. It's the sixth time that Antwerp is hosting this event. And then while the ships are actually docked along the Scheldt River here in Antwerp, people can actually visit the ships, can board the ships. There's also different educational seminars going on, educational aspects about the ships and sailing, different sports. And then the ships will, at the end of the visit here in Antwerp, then set sail and then cruise down to Lisbon and to Spain and different other ports in Europe. The last time the event was actually held in Antwerp was 2010, so it's now 6 years later that the ships are coming back. And in 2010, almost 800,000 visitors actually looked at those ships. Then another one that I wanted to highlight is the Bollekefest in Antwerp. And this year was the 9th edition, and the motto was that Antwerp puts its best foot forward. And it's a festival where really Antwerp tries to highlight all the local brands, the local craftsmen, the local food, the local products. And it's a great festival to immerse yourself in everything Antwerp. So let's just quickly summarize. We got the Jazz Festival going on, one of the best jazz festivals in Europe, or even maybe in the world, Jazz Mittelheim. Then we got Laus Polyphonie, which is the festival of the early music from 500 years ago. Then we got the Classic in the Stad, or Classic in the City, free festival that brings together different aspects of classical music out in the open air. Then we got the Tomorrowland, the world's largest electronic dance music festival. We got the Antwerp Pride Festival, the Tall Ship Regatta, Tall Ship Race. Another one that I had not yet mentioned in one of the pictures here is the Beer Pasta Week. We can taste 50 different beers, different breweries here. There's actually another beer festival going on this weekend that I'm actually going on to, called the Modest Beer Festival from small breweries. And then the Bollekefest, which is the local Antwerp festival for the local Antwerp trade and food and craftsmen. So let's move on to Bruges. And Bruges, of course, also has a lot of festivals. One that I wanted to highlight is the so-called Cactus Festival. This year's edition already happened in July. And what the organizers are basically trying to say, it's a music festival on a human scale, where they're deliberately moving away from a trend to always like bigger and more. So they're just trying to focus on one stage and one venue, and have a venue where repeated musicians, musical innovators, and open-minded audiences can all come together on the one stage. Another very interesting music festival is More Music. That was actually organized in April, and More Music is basically a fascinating encounter where different musical worlds all meet, and it's a very captivating atmospheric concept that brings together cutting edge and sometimes experimental music, and people really love that type of music festival. Then we got the Move Film Festival. That's also usually happening in April. The 2016 dates are not yet known. As you can see, it's widely attended in Bruges and big movie theaters here. We got the Ma Festival, which is one of the world's leading festivals also for early music, similar to what we had in Antwerp, where we focused on the 500-year-old music. Bruges has a very similar festival where it really focuses on historical concerts, historical settings, and early music. Last but not least, of course, Bruges also has its beer festival. And in the Bruges Beer Festival, you can taste over 300 beers. It's very popular also with visitors and the locals. Again, just a quick summary. We got the Cactus Music Festival. We got the More Music Festival. One that I had not mentioned in the picture here is the Moods Festival, which is actually free concerts in one of the squares called the Berg Square, and also inside the Belfry Tower. Then we got the Film Festival. Another festival is the Budapest Festival, where it's a festival focused on classic composers. This year it was Brahms, and then next year will be Mozart. Then we got the Ma Festival, which is what I had pointed out, a 10-day festival, again, of early music. The Bruges Beer Festival, and of course also a lot of other music festivals that are going on, film festivals, dance festivals. Again, the number of festivals is just endless. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a flavor so that you can see all the wide variety of different festivals that are going on in Flanders and specifically now in Bruges. Moving on to Brussels. So what's going on in Brussels? One of the most important and most famous events in Brussels is the Brussels Flower Carpet. So the Flower Carpet happens every 2 years. The next one will be in August 2016. And it's hundreds of thousands of flowers that are actually laid out here. And each year that the flower carpet happens has a different theme. Last year's theme in 2014 was 50 years of Turkish immigration into Belgium. So it celebrated the Turkish culture here. I don't know yet what the theme will be for 2016, but again, it's a very renowned flower carpet event that happens in August, and it's definitely something not to be missed. Then we have the Omegang Festival, which also happens on the Grand Place, and it's a breathtaking folklore full of magic animation with about 1,500 different performers in historic costumes. They're celebrating a procession that happened in 1549, and as you can see, it's a very much a festival where you can see what people dressed like, how they behave, what they did about 500 years ago, and very much well perceived among the locals and the visitors. A lot of other festivals going on in Brussels. I just wanted to highlight a few other ones. For example, the BRAFA, which is the Brussels Antiques and Fine Arts Fair. What some people might not know is that in Belgium, you have actually a large number of antiques and fine arts fairs. Belgian antiques dealers and collectors rank among the top collectors in the world, meaning that the amount of antiques that are available here in the market that are sold, the market is just gigantic. It's humongous. A lot of people from North America, from all around the world, come to Belgium, come to Brussels to actually look for antiques and buy them. It's a very vibrant market. There's a lot to see, a lot to pick up and then bring back home. Another very interesting event is the Museum and Night Fever. That is basically an event that targets the younger people. And around 20 museums, they open very late until 1 or 2 in the morning to attract the young people with an offbeat program and really try to make it engaging. Especially, when you're younger, you think, oh, the museums, that's not that interesting, and maybe something a little bit more for the older people. I'm not really interested into that. And the Museum Night View really tries to counterbalance that trend that museum is nothing for the young people, and they're really trying to have an innovative program, an offbeat program, by staying up late, by making it engaging, and really drawing the young crowd into the museums. And then we also have in Brussels, of course, different film festivals, animation festivals, anima, short film festival, comedy festivals. It's a tremendous amount of comedy that can be seen here, local, but also international comedies. Culinary festivals, for example, Culinaria, which is a great festival, the different foods and prepared by great Belgian chefs here. The Omegang Traditional Festival that I mentioned, the Flower Carpet. Next one, a sports festival, Memorial Van Dam. It's basically, so to speak, a strongman weightlifting contest where you have the best athletes in the world that come together in Brussels. And of course, the Belgian Beer Weekend. It's a very interactive event where different breweries actually display different beers. I actually attended that one at the beginning of September, where we could sample up to 400 different beers. It was also at the Grand Place, and it's organized by the Belgian Beer Brewers Association. Comic festival going on also here in Brussels. And what a lot of people don't know is a lot of very famous comics actually originate from Belgium, from Brussels specifically. I'm sure you might have heard of Tintin. That is one of our comics. Or you might have heard of the Smurfs. The Smurfs are also from Brussels. So comics are very, very popular here. And there's still hundreds and hundreds of comics out there that get published on a regular basis. And it's not uncommon that even adult people read comics. And then last but not least, something for architect lovers and modern architecture. There's an architectural event going on every 2 years called the Brussels Biennale of Modern Architecture. Let's move on to the city of Ghent. So what's going on in Ghent? So Ghent is very famous and very much known for its light festival. It happens every year in February, and there's a lot of art installations in the city that really focus on light and what you can accomplish with light, how light actually influences our lives, working with light sculptures and light installations. And you can see here a photo. It's one of the art installations that you see here. So Ghent is really big on light and everything that you can do with light. Ghent also has a great street festival for music lovers and street performers. It's a mix of different music around the world, classic jazz music, and it's a great spectacle for people just to wander through the city and then look at different street performers. So I said Ghent has a number of other festivals as well. Has a last but not least, of course, a jazz festival, just like any other city. Another one that I wanted to highlight is the third one here on the list, the Food Truck Festival. That's actually something very interesting up and coming, because unlike North America, where we're all used to food trucks and people sit with the food trucks and downtown and drive around with the food trucks, that's actually a very new concept here in Europe. That's not so well known. And Ghent is really one of the cities that are pushing forward, where they're inviting all the different truck drivers to come to the city and then have a food truck festival where they can prepare all different foods for the visitors. And it's a great outdoor festival of different types of food trucks. Great. Then we have the Odegang, a celebration of music along the canals of Ghent. Just like Bruges, Ghent has a number of canals, and it's a great music festival around the canal, so you can sit in the restaurants and enjoy the music. Last but not least, also film festivals that are going on in Ghent. Particularly the International Film Festival. It's very big in Ghent, also with sometimes very international stars from North America as well. The light festivals that I just tried to highlight as well in one of the images. And then let's move on to a second but last city. Not that Leuven is last, because Leuven is important after all. It's home to one of the biggest, or the biggest beer brewing company in the world, so Leuven is definitely important. But let's just stick with beer. Leuven has a great Leuven Beer Weekend, where during an entire weekend, Leuven really bubbles around the activity around beer. There's beer walks, beer workshops, brewery visits, for example, Stella Artois, the world's largest brewing company, different tasting, different cycling tours. There's even competitions going on in the Great Market Square. Leuven also has an international short film festival. Then also a great Christmas market. Christmas markets are really up and coming events here in Flanders. They're really great markets all across the country. I'm just highlighting one here. What I've said, the Leuven Beer Weekend is really full of activities. Then in addition to the regular Leuven Beer Weekend, it also has an innovative beer festival, which focuses on exclusive craft beers and regional dishes and on innovative brewing techniques. And on the Oudemark, you got also a great music festival going on called the Leuvenisme. And then we got the short film festival that I mentioned, the Christmas market, and last but not least, also something for a little bit more of the younger crowd, the Rock Werchter Festival, also one of the internationally renowned rock music festivals here in Europe. And finally, we got Mechelen. Mechelen is a city between Brussels and Antwerp. Mechelen has a great festival called the Summer of Mechelen. As you can see here, the main market square is actually converted to a quote-unquote beachfront property. So people bring out the chairs, they bring out the shuffles, they bring out the flip-flops, they put palm trees up there, and they really enjoy the summer there. It's a great summer festival in the city of Mechelen, right in the city center. During that festival, we also have a few days of Mondrock Festival, so they build up stages, there's music playing, and also, of course, the Christmas market, and Mechelen just calls them Mechelen Keeps You Warm. So I said in Mechelen, you got the Summer of Mechelen, which just happens in June, July, and August. So it just finished not too long ago. We got the Mondrock Open Air Festival. Then we also got Carillion music in the summer playing from the St. Rumbold's Tower every evening on Mondays at 8:30. Mechelen Keeps You Warm, the Christmas markets in December. So as you can see, a lot of festivals going on. At the end, as we wrap up this webinar, I just again wanted to quickly highlight or give you a map, a topographic map of Flanders. So again, you can just see where all different cities are. In the middle, we got Brussels, and if you move north, you got the seaport city of Antwerp. To the west, you got the city of Ghent. Then if you move closer to the coast, you got the city of Bruges. Moving back again to Brussels, just north of Brussels, in between Antwerp and Brussels, you see the city of Mechelen. And then east of Brussels, you got the city of Leuven. Again, just to give you a little bit of a context, it shows how easy it is to get around Flanders. If you look at the size of Flanders, actually, it's actually just twice the size of the greater metropolitan Toronto area. But it's not very big and it's easy to get around. Let's just, at the end, quickly look at some examples of what you could do in Flanders if you had just one day. So you had to pick one day in Flanders. So my suggestion, again, these are just suggestions. Of course, it depends on the individual schedule and the individual desires, what they want to do. It's just a sample here. So if somebody says, okay, I have one day, they could, for example, like do Brussels and then look at the Grand Place. There's a lot of events going on, what I've pointed out, but also from an architectural point of view, it's one of the most beautiful squares in all of Europe. There's a lot of Art Nouveau buildings and architecture going on in Brussels. The comic strip museum might be worthwhile a visit. As at Tintin, the Smurfs, they're all very famous Belgian comics. The Atomium, which is this great architecture built for 1958 World Exhibition, which is an atom molecule magnified 158 million times, I believe. You got great museums, for example, the Magritte Museum. So this is just one example of what you could do in Brussels. If you decided to pick Bruges as one of your days, then definitely worthwhile to visit the chocolate stores in Bruges. There's a number of chocolate stores, just like any other city that we have in Flanders has great chocolate stores. Might be interesting to climb up the Belfry, get a great view of the city, take a canal boat tour. If you're into more the old Flemish painters, the Groningen Museum, or the Beginijn, which is the place where women of celibacy lived. So they are now accessible and are great places to visit. Antwerp, if you decided to spend one day in Flanders, and if you decided to go to Antwerp, the city where I'm in right now, you could look at the different diamond stores, do a diamond workshop, maybe look at the fashion. Antwerp has one of the oldest fashion academies in Europe. The great market, the Grote Markt, which is the main city square in front of the city hall, the Rubens house, famous Rubens painter, the Royal Museum of Modern Art is also one of the museums definitely worthwhile seeing. The Moss Museum, a great museum, also with great Michelin star dining. It actually has a 2-star Michelin star restaurant at the top. The Red Star Line Museum could be an interesting spot, or also the zoo itself, which is one of the oldest here in Europe. Quickly, 3-day itinerary. What could a 3-day itinerary in Flanders look like? Somebody, for example, could do Brussels, then either or Bruges again, and then 1 day in Antwerp. It's possible to stay in Brussels and just venture out into all different other cities, or stay in Bruges, or stay in Antwerp, or stay in Ghent, and then venture out from there. Just a couple of highlights of Ghent, because we didn't have it on the previous slide. Ghent is very famous for the Ghent Altarpiece, the Van Eyck Altarpiece, the Castle of the Count, which you can see on the lower right-hand corner, which is a completely quote-unquote restored medieval castle. The Trippelkot, which is a local Geneva bar, great place, iconic bartender Paul. He really loves to entertain you and tell you stories about how local Geneva is actually made here in Flanders. Some great local stores, for example, the Tierenthal mustard store, mustard that's created based on a centuries-old recipe. You got also museums here of art and architecture, like the Smock. You also got some edgy art, a graffiti wall, where graffiti artists can actually paint and spray different walls. And then last but not least, what I also already highlighted is Ghent by Light, the Light Festival that's going on in Ghent. If you had 5 days, what could you do for 5 days? Well, 5 days, for example, is that you stay in Brussels, Ghent, Bruges, and Antwerp. Could be 2 days in Brussels, 1 day in Ghent, 1 day in Bruges, and 1 day in Antwerp. Or optional, if you want to cut out a day in Brussels, you could do Flanders Field, of course, very important now that we have the commemorations going on. Or you could also spend a day in Leuven or in Mechelen. Again, just some ideas. It really depends on what the individual schedules are. A couple of practical tips at the end. When you travel to Europe and Belgium and Flanders in particular, your passport has to have a minimum validity date of 90 days on the anticipated departure date. Languages spoken here are Dutch, English, and French in Brussels. The electrical current is 230 volt, so we basically need an adapter for North American plugs, because the plugs are round one and not square ones. The currency is the euro. Credit cards are generally widely accepted. All of the cities in Flanders offer city cards. That's actually a great way to save money. City cards, so to speak, a one-time purchase where you pay for a card that's about the size of a credit card, And then the card gives you either free or discounted access to a range of museums, attractions. Some cities even include public transportation in the city card. So that's actually a great way to combine access to different attractions versus paying for each and every single attraction one by one. So you just buy a city card and you're all good. You can just get into all the attractions or get discounts in a particular city. Store opening hours are generally shorter than what we're used to in North America. Generally, they open up at 10 in the morning and close at 6 in the evening, so it's a little bit early. So we all have to try to get our shopping in before 6. The time zone is the Central European time, which is Eastern time plus 6 hours. And another interesting tidbit is that tipping generally is included because waiters and waitresses do get paid a regular salary. So it's basically not expected that you tip. The same as actually valid for taxi drivers. But if somebody really goes above and beyond, of course, they're happy to accept a tip as well. But generally, it's included. How did we get to Flanders? There's a couple of different departure possibilities for direct flights from Canadian and US airports. Let's just focus on the Canadian airports. You can actually fly on Air Canada from Montreal. That's actually the flight that I came in this morning. So I've been up for quite a while. And the other direct flight that leaves Canada is on Jet Airways out of Toronto. But of course, it's always possible to connect to any other European airport that you can fly into Frankfurt, London, Paris, take a connecting flight, or take a connecting train. Out of London would be the Eurostar, out of Paris or Amsterdam would be the tallest train. So it's really easy to get here. So in summary, Flanders, state-of-the-art, cutting-edge craftsmanship, with the highlights of gastronomy, art, architecture, cycling, and fashion. And then today we focused a little bit on the festivals, on the events and commemorations that are going on. As I said, I'm just barely scratching the surface because there's so much going on and I don't want to take up all of your time. You've graciously given me 45 minutes of your time. And with that, I want to open it up for questions. Thank you.
And thank you, Marco, for that fantastic presentation. Now, we do have a couple of questions for you. First of all, Sherry would like to say hello from Ellison, and we're so glad that you enjoyed your trip to Brussels. So, Marco, feel free to touch base with her.
All right. Hello back to her.
All right. So, we do have an anonymous question. Where can I find a comprehensive list or calendar of all festivals happening in Flanders in 2016?
Our website would probably be the best bet. Visit flanders.com, and there you can search for events. You can filter what type of events you're looking for, what time frame you're looking for. That would probably be the best bet.
Fantastic. And Mary would like to ask, will there be a link to review this webinar at a later date? She did miss the beginning, so I, as the moderator, will step in here. Yes, I would like to let everybody know that this webinar is being recorded and will be available on our Baxter Travel Webcast YouTube page, generally within about 24 hours. So if you missed something, not to worry, we will have that available for you. All right.
And I wanted to also add that I anticipated, people wanting to find out more about particular festivals or events that I highlighted here. That's why I took a conscious effort of actually putting in web links into my webinar here. So if you remember going back and I highlighted particular events, particular festivals, most of them actually do have web links listed. So that's actually been a great way to get, directly to the landing page and get more information about a particular festival.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Bonnie would like to know as well, are there 3 prongs on the plugs?
There are 2.
Okay, good to know.
2 round ones.
So feel free to bring a converter if you're traveling abroad. And Sherry would like to know, just to be clear, is Ypres technically not part of Flanders? Marco, for you.
It is Flanders. It's in the province of West Flanders. But it is Flanders.
Fantastic. And at this point, I would like to open the floor for any other questions. For those individuals who are still wondering, the question and answer box is located on the top left-hand side of the page. Bonnie would like to wonder about prices and hotels for a decent 3-star, etc. So, Marco?
I mean, hotel prices vary based on season, based on location. A hotel in Brussels has different prices than, say, a hotel in Leuven. But generally speaking, hotel prices in our destination, if you compare it to any other major area, so let's say you want to compare Brussels and Paris, or Brussels and then London, then Brussels, in comparison to the other major competitors that we have, quote unquote competitors, is 60% below. So you get a tremendous amount of great deals. And I know, like, if you really wanted to be quote unquote budget conscious, just to cite one example, there's a relatively brand new hotel that just opened up in Brussels. New construction, new hotel rooms, a great 3-star hotel, and their rate without breakfast, for example, is 79 euros. So generally, that's probably the price range that you'll be looking at. But of course, I can't speak for all the hotels. There's a tremendous amount of 3-star hotels, and it's always best to check, directly with the hotel.
Fantastic.
But you get great value in comparison, let's say, to London or Paris.
Fantastic. And I would also like to remind everybody that Brussels and Flanders in specific is serviced by a fantastic network of trains. So you're very close to all the European destinations. I just thought I would point that out as well. So we do have a last question from Anonymous. And at this point, I would like to remind everybody, question and answers on the top left-hand side, should you have them. Can you give us the name of that new 3-star hotel in Brussels? Marco?
The hotel is called Motel 1.
Fantastic.
It's actually, if I may just throw this in, very interestingly, not to be confused with Motel 6, relatively a new hotel chain that is really expanding rapidly across Europe. So it's actually a hotel chain that's run by a private family. And they do offer great, fantastic value.
Fantastic, and thank you so much for that. We do have a few more questions. So from Bonnie, are there Belgium hotel chains similar to Holiday Inn in Canada/US or Dray's Inn in London and Scotland?
By Belgium hotel chains, meaning like Belgium owned, probably not. But of course, the big hotel chains that we find in North America also have a presence here in Flanders. So you do find the Holiday Inns, you find the Crown Plazas, you find the Radisson Blu. So you do have the major, hotel chains, the Marriott. They do have a presence here as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So if there are any other questions for Marco, feel free to put those in the question and answer box. And again, if you should have any that arise after this presentation, feel free to contact the moderator. Bonnie would like to know, is Best Western available in Belgium?
I believe there are a few Best Western hotels here. But please don't pin me down exactly what the locations are. I would have to look it up myself, but I've seen Best Western hotels every now and then.
All right. So it appears that there are no further questions at this time. So I would like to thank you all for joining us today as we host Marco and Visit Flanders, More to Experience. Should you have any questions for the moderator or would like a copy of this PowerPoint presentation for your very own, feel free to contact the moderator at T as in Tango, F as in Fish, BRADLEY, that's Bravo Romeo Alpha Delta Lima Echo Yankee at Baxter.net, and we'll be happy to help you out. Once again, should you have missed a part of this webinar, you'd like to catch up or just review the information that is available on our Baxter Travel Webcast YouTube page. Once again, I would like to thank Marco for joining us. And Marco, feel free to have any closing remarks. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. I really appreciate it. Today was a little bit of a different focus. I tried to focus on something that a lot of people are not so much aware of. I hope that you found it worthwhile. And as I said, there's a tremendous amount of festivals going on, something for everyone, for old, for young, for music lovers, for art lovers. definitely a wide bandwidth, and hopefully I will see you and your guests, your clients in Flanders very soon. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. And just one last comment from an anonymous viewer. I was just in Flanders this past August, and it is a wonderful place to visit. Thank you, Flanders. So at this point, I would like to say thank you all for listening, and we hope that you too get the opportunity to visit and enjoy Flanders. There's always more to experience, and we look forward to having you back with us again, Marco. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, just before we go, Bonnie would like to know, are there FAM trips planned to Belgium in the future? Marco, last comment.
Yes, there are trips planned for the future. We have concluded our schedule for 2015, and we're in the middle of planning for 2016. And when the particular dates are known, then we will definitely publish them and make them available through our different communication channels. And yes, we're definitely planning again several trips in 2016.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully everybody will get a chance to enjoy Flanders of their very own. At this point, we will conclude our webinar. Should you have any questions for Marco or the presenter, once again, we can be reached at T as in Tango, F as in Fish, BRADLEY at Baxter.net, and we look forward to having you with us again in future. All the best and have a great afternoon.